There is a growing belief in the United States that we don't need the police in our everyday lives, and that they're there to harm the citizens, specifically the minority citizens. And while that is all we hear about throughout the media, from the forms of CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, that is just not true. The left is believing that we need to disband and defund the police forces to get rid of the cruel things that some of these police members do. And I do believe in the sense that some police officers are not necessarily good at all, and that you could be seeing that through the acts of what happened to George Floyd back in June and Breonna Taylor. There is an article that I saw scrolling through Facebook from my hometown's news site about an issue in Minneapolis where a 2-year-old was left in the car, and while the mom was inside grabbing one last thing, and someone stole the car with a 2-year-old in it. And that is just really sad to hear. In all actuality, you can't even imagine of what would happen in a situation like that. And that obviously sparked an Amber Alert. And the police and law enforcement in this country does a lot more that we may not even realize. They help in situations like that where they can send out extra members to come scout the nearby areas, and then even call their neighboring cities to help keep their police force on alert and look out for that car or things like that. There's a lot more that goes into the police that people are not thinking about, because all that the mainstream media is doing is giving you guys the bad things that happen. And in June of 2020, after the killing of George Floyd, the Minneapolis Police Department decided that they were going to defund and eventually disband their police force. And to my mind, how could they even do that? Minneapolis is the largest city in the state of Minnesota, and my hometown. Well, really, I grew up in St. Paul, which quote unquote is the Twin Cities metropolitan area, so I grew up on the other side of the river. But that is my hometown, and I can't even imagine. I went to Minneapolis for a lot of things. Twins games, Timberwolves games, concerts. Nearly everything that happens in an entertainment life is in Minneapolis, and I couldn't even imagine feeling safe not having a police force there if something were to happen. The police force is meant to help keep our citizens, their cities, their states, if you're talking about state patrol, their counties, if you're talking about the sheriffs, to just keep everybody safe. And you have, quote unquote, the squad, which is pretty much led by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, wanting to disband ICE. And to me, that doesn't make any sense. What are we going to do? We cannot live without a law enforcement agency. We need our law enforcement to keep us safe. the left is working on defunding and disbanding pretty much all law enforcement in this country and think we don't need it. They're working on repelling the Second Amendment. Where is that going to get us? So we're going to be without law enforcement and without the Second Amendment to protect ourselves. And so for law-abiding citizens, such as myself, and a vast majority of the people in this country, you're going to work on having the people who don't follow the law get their way. Because without law enforcement, when someone breaks in my house and straight up tries to steal all my stuff or perform a straight up family murder, what are we going to do with that? That is something we need to address as a country and as a people. We can't go on with our lives without law enforcement. So when Congress decides to make a new law, who's going to enforce it? Because there won't be any police officers, there won't be any law enforcement agencies after they're all disbanded. And while we're at it, let's disband the FBI. They're a law enforcement agency. The CIA, they're more of an intelligence agency. They don't really go anywhere, but to the people who are pushing and preserving the law in this country, there won't be needed for judges anymore, so let's might as well get rid of the Supreme Court. Let's might as well get rid of nearly everything our country is founded on. The Second Amendment, protecting the people who do follow the law, getting rid of criminals who are it. If we don't have law enforcement, there might as well not be a need for jails, so we have people like Jeffrey Dahmer, the Green River Killer, those type of people rolling around on this country, and there won't be a need. So let's go back and ask ourselves, are we really on the right side of the war of this? If we can't get our way, might as well disband everything. Because that's currently how the left is acting like, and that's currently what we are apparently doing, is pushing towards anarchy. They want to get their way, and they're going to do everything in their power to get their way. To me, that sounds much like a dictatorship in a socialist country, and more like an anarchist. Because if we don't have law enforcement, we don't have the judges, we don't have the prisons, people can do whatever they want without getting in trouble for it. So, ask yourself, are we doing this to do the right thing? Or are you doing this because you're tired of the way a few people are acting? Because to me, you're not doing this to stop the problems that the bad police officers have with police brutality and police officers overextending their role. You're doing this to really push forward what you want. And that, to me, is not right and completely wrong, and we need to do better. So ask yourselves, what are you actually pushing for? That's just my thought. And that really is what I am wondering right now. Because that 2-year-old that was stuck in that car we could have had more police officers out scouting the area. And if you want to worry about protecting our citizens, defunding the police is not. Defunding and disbanding the police is not going to be effective. It really is not. So, go back. Think about your position. Then get back to me about what you're really for. Because if someone tried to steal my car, I could defend myself. But that 2-year-old in the back of the car while her mom quickly ran inside to perhaps grab her coat or forgot her purse or wallet or whatever it is,